Last month, an incident that occurred in West Bengal, which, if not marked as crumbling down of the constitutional machinery, and if not marked as a constitutional crisis, then I don't know which other incident can be marked as that. If such an incident is not taken so much cognizance of by the Supreme Court of India, then why would Supreme Court of India be known as the guardian of the Constitution? I would explain as I observed the matter. On September 12 or September 13, in an event organized by the government of West Bengal in Netaji Indoor Stadium, the government of West Bengal distributed 11,000 appointment letters to 11,000 youth of the state by the hands of the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal. The appointment letters were being offered by a private company, but it was distributed by the Honorable Chief Minister of the government of West Bengal, and the West Bengal government organized the event. However, within a day's time after such an event, the appointment letters came out to be fake. The company of which the appointment letters were supposed to be denied that they had distributed any such appointment letters. The company said that those appointment letters are fake because if they would have distributed the appointment letters, they would have distributed it on their colored letterhead and not on such black and white letterheads. They declared the letters to be fake. So now let us understand that how was it possible that the government of West Bengal had ended up distributing fake appointment letters. How was it possible at all? It was impossible for the government of West Bengal to approach a private company to request them to get their own appointment letters delivered by the government itself. It is impossible because the government knows very well that if a private company appoints 11,000 youth, then they will appoint them themselves. Why would they get the appointment letters distributed by some government officials? Why would they do that? So it is impossible that the government approached the company. However, it is possible for a company to approach the government. It is possible that a company can approach a government and propose that they want to distribute their own appointment letters through the hands of the Chief Minister of the state. It is possible for the company to do it. However, in this case, that was not the case because the company has denied. They said that they are not the people who distributed those appointment letters, and they said those appointment letters to be fake. So even the company didn't approach the government. Neither the government approached the company nor the company approached the government. Then how is it possible? How did such an event occur at all? It is possible that some fraud middleman came in between the company and the government of West Bengal. It is possible that some fraud middleman had approached the government of West Bengal and said that he came from such and such company, and which company wanted to get their own appointment letters distributed by the Chief Minister. It is possible that a fraud middleman came and convinced about this to the government officials. Now imagine, even if it has happened in this way, if a fraud middleman has come, where would he go? Is it possible that the fraud middleman would come and convince only a clerk or a peon of the government department? Would a clerk or a peon be able to be convinced and give him the go ahead? It is absolutely impossible. The appointment letters got distributed by the Department of Technical Education and Skill Development of the government of West Bengal, headed by IAS Krishna Gupta. So was it possible for the middleman to come and approach a mere peon or a clerk of his department? No, because a peon or a clerk cannot really give him the go ahead. the fraud must have knocked the door of some officer, an officer of at least a deputy secretary level, because the officers of joint secretary level or the principal secretary level are higher posts than the officers of the deputy secretary level. So at least the person would have to come and convince an officer of a deputy secretary level, and after that the deputy secretary officer would have to give him a go ahead in a government order. Then someone, either he himself or some other officer of some other department, would have to organize the event, would have to book the Netaji indoor stadium by another government order. So these government orders had been raised, let us assume for the time being that these government orders had been raised by some officer, raised and signed by some officers who were collaborating with a fraud and organizing the event. However, before the appointment letters turned out to be fake, the government didn't know that they were organizing for a fake appointment letter distribution program. The government also didn't know. It was the officers' mistakes. But these are such grave mistakes. Why the mistake was grave? Because the government is the epitome of the epitome of faith and trust. The people, if the people cannot have faith on the government, the people cannot have faith on any other body. That is the point, because they say that it is attested by a government official. So government officials are not supposed to violate that standard. But in that case, that image of the government of West Bengal had got distorted. The people got demoralized to that extent that anything coming from the government of West Bengal is not a document of truth. So that much loss of image had occurred because of these mistakes done by one or more officers of the Department of Technical Education and Skill Development. After such big mistakes, did these officers got suspended by the government of West Bengal? Do we have any such news that officers of the Department of Technical Education and Skill Development got suspended? No, we do not have any such news. No such officers have been suspended as yet. If after these videos some news crops up that some officer got suspended, then that would come as an eyewash, because government of West Bengal has already lost its image. It has already been proven that they can even distribute fake letters. So their documents are not records of truth anymore. So after this video, even if someone becomes suspended for this cause, that would appear as an eyewash. But as of now, no officer had been suspended for this grave a mistake. Now let us assume that no such government orders had been issued to the fraud for organizing all those letters, because 11,000 appointment letters, getting them arranged is also a big cost. So definitely the person whosoever has organized it on behalf of the government would have to would do it by the government order. Government order is required because after this the government would have to pay for it, and they have to remit the payment, and the Netaji indoor would also be booked against some government order against which the government would remit the payment. Now imagine if nothing of this sort has happened, if the government orders have not been issued, only verbal orders have been used. If the officials, the government department has only verbally ordered some fraud middleman to get everything ready on his own, and the government itself has organized the Netaji indoor stadium also, just without keeping any record of it, then the whole thing would appear even more murkier. Verbal order means who is giving, to whom, for what cause. Nothing is on pen and papers, nothing is on record. So the thing is absolutely murky in that case. In that case, it remains no more a mistake of government officers, it becomes forgery. Deliberate forgery by the government officers from their constitutional chairs. The people has not done anything wrong, the chairs have done. If everything has been done in terms of government orders officially, then it's a mistake, a big mistake by one or more than one officers. But in that case, those officers had to be suspended. But no one has been suspended as of now. So can we assume that nothing of this sort has been done officially, but everything has been done unofficially only by verbal orders of the top bosses of the concerned departments? How is it possible? In that case, why would they do it on verbal order? Why won't they go the official way? Did they know it from before that it's whatever is happening in a fraud way? That means they were aware that the person is a fraud and everything, whatever was being done is only to distribute certain fake letters only for optics. They knew it. If they had done it knowingly, that means it was a case of forgery. Forgery by the government officers from their own constitutional chair. So isn't this a case of crumbling down of the constitutional machinery? Isn't this a constitutional crisis? Isn't this a direct attack on the constitution itself? Because the public servants are, they take an oath by the constitution, and they have done it from their own chairs and not for their own personal benefits. They have done this forgery for the government itself. Is it possible? Can we contemplate the gravity of the situation? Supreme Court can definitely understand that why is it absolutely required for the top court to take so much cognizance of this event. And unfortunately, the Chief Secretary of West Bengal has said that it was a mistake, and he has admitted that it was a mistake. If he admitted that it was a mistake of whom? The officers who had done it. But he didn't suspend any one of the officers as of now. Till today, no officer has been suspended. That means he himself has taken the whole charge. So any proceeding against the Chief Secretary, now all the charges would come upon himself. For any proceeding against the Chief Secretary, it is only the court which can initiate. Because such a grave offence, because this particular incident, this event had demoralized the people of West Bengal forever. The people of West Bengal would from now on would never believe the government of West Bengal, because even the government can distribute fake letters. That kind of devaluation of the government has happened because of this mistake, of which the Chief Secretary has admitted the mistake that Chief Secretary has. The Chief Secretary calls it a mistake. This is not at all a mistake, but an act of crime of forgery, which can be viewed from various perspectives. It is not only deliberately organizing an event to cheat 11,000 youth of the state, but also forging document. This can be viewed from various angles, and for each dimension, the people who has committed this must be brought to justice. We just have to imagine that had this been done, the same thing been done by some private company, what would we have done with the director of that private company? That private company director by now would have been surely arrested. And that would have been the minimal thing that would have been surely done with him, the director of the private company. But what is happening in this case? The director of the government of West Bengal, why shouldn't he be arrested? He or them be arrested, whosoever they are. And for the mistakes, for the faults, for the crimes of all subordinates, if the chief secretary has to be brought to justice, the court is the best person to decide, but someone must take up the baton of justice. With unfathomable pain, Rabindranath Tagore has written in one of his poems, 2 lines, Pratikar-hীন শক্তের অপরাধে বিচারের বাণী নীরবে নিভৃতে কাঁদে, which very coarsely means if the guilty person is a very powerful one, then justice fails. So should that come true, or is there anyone who will bring them to justice? The officers of the government of West Bengal. That is the question that must be asked, and we must demand justice to prevail in this case. My question to the opposition also: why is the opposition silent regarding this mammoth incident? Are they expecting only a regime change? Because these are the officials who have converted West Bengal into a crime state. For decades after decades, West Bengal turned into a state of smuggling and trafficking crime industry. That was because of these officers. So these types of bureaucrats, and they have facilitated the fall of the state. And if the opposition today doesn't raise their voice against these particular officers, these government officials, then that means they are waiting a regime change, and they want to get the benefit, the honey of this honey for their own benefit. They want to collect the honey by utilizing these corrupt officers. But well, the nationalists of West Bengal don't want it. The nationalists of West Bengal not only wants the regime change, they want West Bengal to get rid of this crime state tag forever. West Bengal should get rid of these criminal approaches, and that is the reason why the opposition should raise voice against the officers. It is not at all enough to raise voice against the present legislature. It is absolutely mandatory, because the officers are conducting such forgery, frauds in different other occasions also. These are forgery. Why shouldn't case under IPC, suitable IPC for forgery, be applicable to the concerned officers? And if the chief secretary has assumed all the charges, why not the charges against him? For justice, for people, because finally the state belongs to the people, for people's benefit, for people's good, this must be done. The officers must get their due.